Life often places us in the company of those who, for reasons known or unknown, fail to extend the courtesy of respect. These encounters, though unpleasant, offer a profound opportunity for growth, not only for you, but also for the one showing disrespect. Understanding their perspective. Begin by considering this disrespect is often the fruit of a deeper struggle. A person may be wrestling with their own inadequacies, frustrations, or misconceptions, which they project outwardly. To understand this is not to excuse their behavior, but to see beyond it. It is to remember that the storm they unleash may not be entirely about you, it may be their own tempest within, responding with dignity. Faced with such behavior, the first task is to anchor yourself in calmness. Do not allow their words or actions to dictate your response. Instead, choose dignity. Speak with clarity and restraint. A gentle answer, even to a harsh word, is often disarming. It tells them, and anyone watching, that respect is not merely a response, it is a quality inherent in you. Setting healthy boundaries. Understanding and composure do not mean enduring mistreatment indefinitely. Respect must be mutual to be meaningful. When necessary, draw firm but kind boundaries. Explain your position without anger, and if the behavior persists, do not be afraid to step away. Protecting your peace is not a sign of weakness, it is a testament to your strength and self-worth. Choosing grace over retaliation. Choose grace not because they deserve it, but because it is a reflection of your character. Grace is the refusal to let someone else's lack of respect pull you into their world of chaos. It is the higher road that seeks not to conquer, but to inspire. Disrespect is often misunderstood as a deliberate attack on one's character or worth, but in many cases it is a reflection of the person's inner turmoil. To truly understand why someone acts without respect requires looking beyond their words or actions and recognizing that their behavior is frequently rooted in personal struggles, insecurities, and past experiences. When someone disrespects you, it is easy to take their actions personally, assuming that they see you as unworthy or inferior. However, a deeper reflection reveals that their disrespect may not be a judgment of you at all, but a manifestation of their own unresolved issues. Many people carry the weight of unresolved emotions or personal failures that they are unable to confront. This frustration or dissatisfaction with themselves can manifest outwardly in the form of disrespect, not necessarily aimed at you, but at the world around them. They may lash out at others because they lack the tools or awareness to deal with their own feelings. Another factor to consider is the influence of upbringing and environment. People who grow up in environments where respect is not modeled or valued may struggle to offer it to others later in life. If a person has never learned how to value others' perspectives, acknowledge their feelings, or treat them with consideration, it becomes difficult for them to naturally express respect. This lack of respect can often stem from a history of being treated disrespectfully themselves, whether by parents, peers, or societal structures. When respect is not part of one's emotional vocabulary, it becomes something foreign, and in some instances, it is actively resisted. The absence of positive role models or constructive interaction in their formative years might leave them ill-equipped to understand the importance of mutual respect, resulting in behavior that seems intentionally disrespectful. Furthermore, societal or cultural factors can also shape how individuals view and treat others. In some contexts, a lack of respect may be normalized or even celebrated as a sign of strength or dominance. Sometimes disrespect arises from ignorance, an unintentional lack of awareness about the impact of one's words or actions. It is easy for individuals to become so entrenched in their own beliefs, priorities, or daily struggles that they fail to consider how their behavior affects others. They may not even realize that what they are saying or doing is disrespectful. This lack of consideration is not always a malicious act, but rather a sign of emotional or intellectual narrowness. People who are self-centered or consumed by their own challenges may not take the time to reflect on how their actions affect those around them. Their disrespect, in these cases, is less a deliberate act of harm and more a reflection of their inability to see beyond their own experiences. Another important factor to explore is how the sense of self plays a role in how people show respect to others. Individuals who feel insecure or inferior in some way are often the ones most likely to disrespect others. Disrespect can be a defense mechanism used to elevate themselves or make themselves feel superior. When a person feels small or unimportant, they may lash out at others in an attempt to create an illusion of power or dominance. This act of demeaning others is often a cry for validation or recognition, as the person tries to compensate for their internal sense of inadequacy. Disrespect in this sense becomes a tool for self-preservation, a way to shield their own vulnerability by projecting control over others. These individuals may not be consciously aware of the deeper emotional struggles driving their behavior, but their actions speak volumes about their inner world. The influence of external pressures cannot be ignored. Life's demands, stress from work, relationships, or personal struggles often leave people in a state of frustration or overwhelm. In these moments, people may resort to taking their anger or frustration out on those around them. When individuals are under stress, they often have less patience and fewer emotional resources to engage in respectful or empathetic interactions. The weight of external pressures can lead to a reduced capacity for compassion, making disrespect a more common reaction. Their lack of respect is often not a reflection of how they feel about you personally, but a byproduct of their inability to manage the stresses in their life. When faced with disrespect, one of the most important responses you can have is to maintain your dignity and composure. This is easier said than done, especially when emotions run high and the instinct to react quickly or defensively is strong. However, choosing to respond with dignity in such situations is not a sign of weakness or submission, but rather a demonstration of inner strength and emotional intelligence. To respond with dignity means not to stoop to the level of disrespect, but to rise above it, showing that your sense of self-worth is not contingent upon the actions of others. Maintaining composure in the face of disrespect begins with emotional regulation. It is essential to recognize that your emotions, though powerful, do not have to control your actions. This does not mean suppressing or ignoring your feelings, but rather understanding them and choosing how to act in a way that reflects your values. When confronted with disrespect, pause before reacting. Take a moment to assess the situation and understand your own emotional state. Often the instinctive reaction to disrespect is to retaliate in kind, but this only fuels the cycle of negativity. Instead, practice emotional self-awareness and mindfulness, allowing yourself to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This pause gives you the space to remember that you are not defined by the disrespect of others, and you can maintain your integrity regardless of how others behave. Responding with dignity also involves the use of measured words. In moments of confrontation, the temptation to lash out or use harsh words can be overwhelming. However, words are powerful, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Choosing to speak with clarity and restraint not only preserves your dignity but also disarms the other person. When you respond calmly and thoughtfully, it signals that you are in control of the situation, even if the other person is not. This calm response can often diffuse the tension and shift the dynamic, leaving the other person with no ground to stand on in their disrespect. It is important to remember that your words are a reflection of your character and how you choose to communicate in difficult moments, speaks volumes about your self-respect and emotional maturity. Part of responding with dignity is recognizing that you are not obligated to engage in every conflict or prove your point to everyone. Sometimes the most dignified response is silence or a brief, firm statement. In many cases, people who show disrespect are not open to rational discussion or change. Engaging with them in a prolonged argument can be draining and unproductive, so knowing when to withdraw is crucial. Your dignity is preserved when you choose not to lower yourself to their level of negativity. It is also important to understand that disengaging does not mean you are weak or giving in. Rather, it shows that you value your time, energy, and peace of mind. The power lies in your ability to walk away from unnecessary conflict, maintaining your peace and self-respect. Another aspect of responding with dignity is maintaining a sense of empathy. This may seem counterintuitive when someone is treating you disrespectfully, but showing empathy can transform the way you handle the situation. By attempting to understand the underlying reasons for their behavior, you position yourself as someone who is not emotionally reactive but emotionally intelligent. Recognizing that the person's disrespect may stem from personal struggles, insecurities, or past experiences can help you to remain calm and compassionate rather than retaliating with anger. Empathy allows you to respond with kindness instead of bitterness, and in doing so you maintain your own integrity while possibly opening the door for understanding. Even when you cannot change the behavior of others, responding with empathy demonstrates that you are not driven by ego or the need to be right, but by the desire to maintain peace and dignity in every interaction. Responding with dignity requires a firm understanding of your own self-worth. When you are secure in who you are, the disrespect of others has less power over you. Your sense of value does not fluctuate based on the opinions or treatment of others. If you know your worth, you will not feel compelled to defend yourself or prove anything to those who choose to disrespect you. This inner confidence provides a strong foundation for maintaining your composure in the face of negativity. It enables you to rise above insults, criticisms, and rude behavior because you know that their words do not define you. Instead of reacting to their disrespect, you can respond with measured calm, reflecting the dignity that comes from knowing you are worthy of respect, regardless of how others choose to behave. It's also essential to recognize that responding with dignity does not mean tolerating mistreatment indefinitely. Part of maintaining dignity involves knowing when to assert yourself and set clear boundaries. If disrespect becomes a pattern or crosses a line, it is important to stand firm in communicating what is and isn't acceptable behavior. This is not about confrontation or aggression, but about protecting your peace and ensuring that you are treated with the same respect you offer to others. In this way, responding with dignity does not mean allowing others to walk over you, but rather ensuring that your personal boundaries are respected while still holding onto your composure and grace. Setting healthy boundaries is a crucial aspect of handling disrespect, as it ensures that you maintain control over your own emotional and mental well-being. Boundaries are not just limits that protect you from harmful interactions, but they are also an essential part of preserving your dignity and self-respect. When you set boundaries, you are defining what is acceptable behavior from others and what is not, and you are asserting your right to be treated with respect. It is important to understand that boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. Rather, they are clear guidelines that define how you allow others to treat you. The first step in setting healthy boundaries is to recognize that you have the right to do so. Many people, particularly those who have been subjected to disrespect or mistreatment, often feel guilty or conflicted about setting limits. They might fear that establishing boundaries will lead to conflict or make them appear unreasonable. However, Boundaries are essential for self-care and personal growth. Without boundaries, you risk becoming overwhelmed, resentful, or even losing your sense of self. By setting boundaries, you are acknowledging that you deserve respect and that your emotional health matters. It is important to believe in your right to protect yourself from behavior that harms or diminishes you, and to realize that this is not selfish, but a healthy act of self-preservation. Once you recognize the importance of boundaries, the next step is to be clear and direct about what is acceptable and what is not. Setting boundaries involves clear communication, and this requires you to articulate your needs without ambiguity. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they feel uncomfortable or uncertain about how to express them. It can be difficult to confront someone, especially when they are acting disrespectfully, but being direct and assertive is key. This does not mean being aggressive or rude, but rather stating your position firmly and calmly. For example, you can say, "I do not appreciate being spoken to in that way, and I expect to be treated with respect." Or, "I am not comfortable continuing this conversation if you continue to raise your voice." By clearly stating your expectations, you take the responsibility for setting the tone of the interaction. This not only helps others understand how to treat you, but it also reinforces your own sense of self-respect. A crucial part of setting healthy boundaries is understanding that you must be consistent. Boundaries are not one-time declarations, they need to be reinforced over time. If you allow someone to disrespect you on occasion without addressing it, you are sending mixed signals about what is acceptable behavior. Consistency in enforcing your boundaries lets others know that you are serious about how you expect to be treated and that you will not tolerate disrespectful behavior. This consistency is essential because people tend to test limits, especially if they feel they can push past them without consequences. If you remain firm in your boundaries, over time people will come to recognize that you will not allow them to cross those lines without consequence. At the same time, it is important to recognize that boundaries are not about controlling others, but about taking responsibility for your own responses and actions. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you react and what behavior you allow. Setting boundaries gives you the power to decide which interactions are healthy and which ones are not. It helps you identify situations or people that are toxic and requires you to take steps to protect your emotional well-being. For example, if someone regularly disrespects you by making hurtful comments or behaving inappropriately, setting a boundary may involve distancing yourself from that person, whether temporarily or permanently, depending on the severity of the situation. While it may be uncomfortable to enforce boundaries, especially with someone close to you, it is necessary for your mental and emotional health. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is understanding that it might not always lead to immediate understanding or change. Some individuals, particularly those who have not been accustomed to being held accountable for their actions, may resist or reject the boundaries you set. In these cases, it is essential to stand firm and avoid compromising your limits in the face of resistance. Being clear about your boundaries means accepting that others may not always appreciate or agree with them, but it is your responsibility to protect yourself from mistreatment. You must be prepared for pushback, but this is where the strength of consistency and self-awareness comes into play. If the person continues to violate your boundaries despite your clear communication, it may be necessary to evaluate the relationship or interaction further, considering whether it is worth maintaining at all. Setting boundaries also means recognizing that some people may not be capable of respecting them, either because of their own emotional limitations or because they lack the maturity to understand the importance of respect. In such cases, setting a boundary is not just about protecting yourself in the moment, but also about making a long-term decision regarding how you interact with that person. For instance, if someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, You may have to choose to limit your exposure to them, or in extreme cases, remove them from your life entirely. This decision is not about punishment, but about choosing your peace and well-being over the negative influence of those who refuse to respect your limits. It is also important to note that setting boundaries is not a one-time act of defiance or a reaction to a single incident. Rather, it is a mindset and a way of life. Boundaries can apply to all areas of your life, including work, friendships, family, and even personal time. Establishing healthy boundaries means that you are constantly aware of where your energy is going, how you are being treated, and what you are willing to tolerate. Boundaries reflect your values and show others how you expect to be treated, while also serving as a tool for maintaining a balanced and healthy life. In setting boundaries, you are not just protecting yourself from disrespect, you are also fostering relationships based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. Healthy boundaries encourage authentic connections and ensure that interactions remain positive and productive. Practicing self-respect is an essential foundation for handling disrespect from others. Self-respect is the belief that you are worthy of dignity and fair treatment, and it begins with how you perceive yourself. When you have a strong sense of self-respect, external disrespect has less power to harm you because your self-worth is not dependent on how others treat you. Self-respect involves cultivating an inner confidence and a sense of personal integrity that protects you from the negative effects of mistreatment. It is about knowing your value and standing firm in the belief that you deserve to be treated with kindness and fairness regardless of how others behave. One of the primary aspects of self-respect is setting a high standard for how you allow others to treat you. When you respect yourself, you are less likely to tolerate behavior that diminishes or disrespects you. Self-respect is reflected in the way you conduct yourself and the boundaries you establish with others. People who have strong self-respect do not let others take advantage of them, mistreat them, or diminish their sense of worth. They communicate their expectations clearly and are not afraid to distance themselves from toxic relationships or situations. This does not mean being arrogant or overly defensive. Rather, it means being assertive and making it clear that you will not allow yourself to be disrespected. When you practice self-respect, you give others a clear message about the standards you expect, and this often leads to more positive and respectful interactions. Another key element of self-respect is self-awareness. When you have self-respect, you are attuned to your own emotions, needs, and values. You understand what you stand for, and you are conscious of your reactions and feelings in various situations. This self-awareness enables you to navigate difficult interactions with a sense of clarity and purpose. When you are in tune with your own needs, you are better able to assess situations and determine the appropriate response. Self-awareness also helps you avoid reacting impulsively in moments of disrespect. Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, you can pause, assess the situation, and choose the best course of action that aligns with your values and self-respect. In this way, self-awareness enhances your ability to handle disrespect with grace and composure. Part of practicing self-respect is taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. Engaging in self-care activities, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and prioritizing your well-being are essential aspects of self-respect. When you take care of yourself, you send a powerful message to others that you value yourself and are committed to your own well-being. This can include activities such as exercising, eating well, getting enough sleep, meditating, or spending time doing things that bring you joy. When you invest in your own well-being, you build resilience and inner strength, making it easier to handle external negativity and disrespect. A person who values themselves will be less likely to internalize the negative behavior of others, as they are grounded in the belief that they are worthy of respect and care. Self-respect also involves forgiving yourself for past mistakes and learning from them. It's easy to feel shame or guilt when we make errors in judgment or experience moments of weakness. However, holding on to guilt can undermine your self-respect, as it suggests that you are not worthy of forgiveness or growth. To practice self-respect, you must be kind and compassionate with yourself, just as you would be with a friend who made a mistake. Acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward with a commitment to bettering yourself is a key component of self-respect. By doing this, you affirm your own value and demonstrate that you are capable of growth, change, and improvement. When you can forgive yourself and let go of past failures, you free yourself from unnecessary negativity and maintain your sense of worth. Building self-respect also requires cultivating a strong sense of personal integrity. Integrity is about being true to your values, principles, and beliefs, even when it is difficult or when others do not share the same standards. When you live with integrity, you align your actions with your values, and this consistency reinforces your sense of self-respect. Personal integrity means doing what is right, even in challenging situations, and not compromising your values to please others or avoid conflict. People who live with integrity do not feel the need to seek validation from others because they are secure in their own decisions and actions. This inner security is a key aspect of self-respect because it allows you to remain true to yourself, even when faced with disrespect or criticism. In situations where others may disrespect you, practicing self-respect involves maintaining your own dignity, even when others fail to treat you with the same consideration. It's important to understand that how others behave is often a reflection of them, not you. People who disrespect others are often projecting their own insecurities, frustrations, or emotional issues. Recognizing this can help you distance yourself from the negative impact of their behavior. When you respond to disrespect with self-respect, you do not take their behavior personally, and you do not internalize their negativity. Instead, you remain anchored in your own sense of self-worth, knowing that you deserve respect regardless of how others treat you.